And we're back. And it is now Judah who speaks up to take some responsibility. His commitment seemed a bit more sincere than Reuben's. You remember Reuben? Reuben was the oldest brother, and Reuben was the one, when they returned from Egypt the first time, who said to his father Jacob, let me take charge of this, and if something happens to Benjamin, you can kill my two sons. That was quite a statement that Reuben made, and it tells a little bit about the character of Reuben, the fact that he was not a man of great integrity and a man of courage. We see something different, though, in Judah. There are times when God allows us to go through difficult times that push us out of our comfort zone and beyond our limits. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused a lot of troubles for many. Many Americans have applied for unemployment and still have not received their first checks or their first payments. Many small businesses are in real trouble, and some are facing bankruptcy. Recently, if you've been watching the news, doctors' offices and hospitals are laying off people due to the decline of the elective non-emergency procedures that people are canceling. We are faced with decisions that will affect what we do now and how those decisions will affect others we interact with. So just as it was with Judah and with Jacob and the brothers, someone had to step up, and Judah did. The principle that we find here is this: living on purpose is a time to commit to do what needs to be done in order to free up a way to find answers that bring resolution. Living on purpose is a time to commit to what needs to be done in order to free up a way to find answers that bring resolution. But there's a second thing necessary to live on purpose, as we see in Genesis 43. It is a time, number two, a time to move in the right direction. So what does that mean? The question is really, are you going in the right direction or the wrong direction? And what are you doing about it? How are you living? Is what you do making a difference? Is it a benefit? Is it something that's pleasing to God? Well, there are three things that we find here as we look at what Jacob and the brothers did in moving in the right direction. Here's the first thing: having the right intentions. The time had come to live in such a way that their intentions would have to line up with what was honorable and right. These, in fact, are the most important foundations in life. At least a few of them, a few of the most important foundations of life. What you think and how you act is and should be the driving force that we do in order to trust God. It didn't come out exactly right, did it? My point is that the way you think and the way you act should be an indication that God is the driving force in your life. This is where genuineness and righteousness begins. So the question for us today is, do you do what you do with the right intentions? This is a day to examine our hearts, to make sure that what we say and what we do is right and good for all those who may be influenced by what we say and do. And this was the case in the story of Joseph. It was time for someone to step up. Judah did the right thing. And Judah was willing to do that which was honorable. That's the second thing, having a willingness to do what is honorable. For Jacob's sons, it was a time to pull out the stops, to go with open hearts and with hopeful intentions, to do what was required for all the right reasons. The Bible says they hurried to Egypt to present, with a present rather, for the ruler in Egypt, which of course was Joseph. The urgency was now to focus more on what was honorable, and because it was also a matter of survival. When they got to Egypt, they presented themselves to Joseph, and notice what takes place as we look at the text. Genesis chapter 43, and I'm going to begin reading now in verse 16 as we look at what takes place here. Verse 16 says this: When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of his house, "Take these men to my house, slaughter an animal, and prepare dinner, for they are to eat with me at noon." Verse 17, the man did as Joseph told him and took the men to Joseph's house. Now the men were frightened when they were taken to his house. They thought, "We were brought here because of the silver that was put into our sacks the first time. He wants to attack us and overpower us and seize us as slaves and take our donkeys." So we find here something that obviously they had no control of. They were filled with fear, and they were afraid of the outcome. How apropos today of what we're living through. We are called upon to do some things we've never done before. I mean, who would have ever thought that wearing face masks is something that has become a norm for us? I mean, now it's even a requirement by state law. If you go into any public place, you are to wear a face mask. And who would ever thought that we would be addressing a strange new behavior called social distancing, and it being 6 feet apart from one another? I mean, this is something totally new. Though you may have reservations, as I do, and though it is uncomfortable, and you may even disagree with what you're asked to do, yet sometimes God requests of us to do what we need to do and trust Him so that His name might be glorified. We don't always have to understand what's going on, but we do need to trust God and do what is right in His sight. It has less to do with our rights and more to do with trusting God as we face uncertain times and journey through the uncertain territory that we're traveling through. Well, this is the second of 3 videos. I will look forward to seeing you in the third video.